This is another in the series that we're doing. The title of this is Certificates Are About as Useless as a Screen Door in a Submarine, which is very true. The thing that you got to realize is that a certificate of insurance is a piece of paper. And most people don't read except for certain sections of this sheet of paper. Some people will read, most people will want to read what the policy states. And here they won't even look at this portion. They'll go down and they'll just look and they'll make sure that some effective dates are there. But that's it. But this wording that's actually printed on the certificate actually means something. And that's what we want to talk about today, because people think it means a lot more than it does. First off, certificate of liability insurance. It is a certificate of liability insurance. It's not property. It's not anything other than liability coverages. So if someone's putting the building values in it, or the value of a lot of land or equipment, that's not where it's supposed to be. It's not being done correctly. That goes on a separate form. The second thing is that this is a form by the Accord Corporation. And the Accord Corporation is the one who has created this. They have a registered trademark. So we have to do what they tell us to do on these. And we have to go by what they have said, because that's what the courts have ruled. Okay, so if you look at this, it says this certificate is issued as a matter of information only and confers no rights upon the certificate holder. So what this is saying is it's only information. Whatever is listed on there means nothing. It confers no rights. It's just information. It says this certificate does not affirmably or negatively amend or extend the coverage. So it's saying if there's coverage on here that says that you're additional insured, or that there's $5 million of coverage, that doesn't change the fact of what the actual policy is. Whatever the policy is. If you have $1 million limits and someone accidentally puts $500,000 on there, again, it does not change the policy. The policy is what it is. I think a lot of this was done by the carriers because they don't want to be obligated to something that they didn't do. And I know that's why a lot of this was done this way. Okay, it does not constitute a contract between the issuing insurer, the insurance company, the producer, the agent, and the certificate holder. So even if you have this, it's saying it's not a contract. So up front it's saying this thing's basically worthless. It's information, but even if it's wrong, you can't really hold us harmless. You can't hold us liable for getting one of these. Okay, this is important. If the certificate holder is additional insured, and that's where a lot of this comes into place. If the certificate holder is an additional insured, policies must be endorsed. Just because you have an X on a certificate in the blank that says certificate holder, and that's going to be right here, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're an additional insured. And if it's blank, it doesn't mean that you're not additional insured. You have to read the policy language. That's what they're getting at here. Okay. The waiver subrogation is the same way. If you're wanting to have a waiver subrogation on the policy, it has to have an endorsement. Whether the check mark is there or not doesn't matter. It's whatever the endorsement in the actual policy says. Okay. A statement on the certificate does not confer rights. It's telling you it has to be endorsed. It doesn't confer rights. So if you just get a certificate and you say, hey, all the boxes are checked, I'm good, that's not necessarily the case. You may or may not be okay. Okay, now, the next section, we go down just above the insurance portion, and it says this is to certify that the policy of insurance listed below have been issued to the insured named above. That's all this thing is doing. It's certifying that the policies have been issued. No more, no less. That's really all this thing is doing. And the thing about that is it's only the day that's listed here. It's not saying tomorrow that this is going to be the same thing. It's just saying that that day, that coverage is there. Okay? Now again, it says down here, insurance afforded by the policies described herein is subject to all of the terms, exclusions, and conditions. So whatever, again, is on the policy rules. It's not what's on the certificate. So again, basically, I've been reiterating, certificates are worthless. They are. You need to make sure that the policies show what you want them to. If you're dealing with subcontractors, vendors, lessors, franchisees, franchisors, tenants, make sure it's done appropriately. The next thing, description of operations. A lot of times we have people that want special wording in here. I remember when I first got in insurance, we'd have 2 paragraphs that people would want us to type in there. The people who create these forms, who own the copyright to these forms, do not allow us to do that. So if someone wants all this wording in there, that's fine and dandy. We can accommodate it by editing the policies. Again, what it says is the endorsement must be done. We can edit the policies to provide what they want, but we can't necessarily put it on the certificate because the court doesn't like it. And to some degree, we're violating their copyright. Okay, generally speaking, I think at some point in time they'll probably be removed, but sometimes that can pertain to certain locations specifically. But again, the policy is what rules and not what wording is there. Okay, the last thing to look at is your name should be here on the certificate with your address, but we cannot change the cancellation dates. Used to, we get things, we want a 10-day notice of cancellation. We want written notice of cancellation. We want a 30-day notice of cancellation. That's not there anymore. We can't even change it. There used to be a blank in there where we could change it. The notice will be delivered in accordance with the policy provisions, period. Whatever the policy says, that's what you're getting. So if you want someone to notify you in the event that their policy is canceling, then they need to get their policy endorsed to provide that. Some carriers will do it, some carriers won't. It just kind of depends. The larger the account, the more likely you can get it. The smaller account, the harder it is to get. So keep that in mind there. The last thing is make sure the certificate that you're getting has the most recent date. The most recent date is the 2014 version. Accord says you can use the old versions for a year, but after the year's up, you can't use it. So no one should be sending out 2010 versions of certificates anymore. It needs to be the 2014 version. If it is, they're actually violating copyright in that sense. So the main thing to get out of this is, if you have certificates, that's good. You're doing what you need to do for good certificate management as an owner of your business and trying to protect yourself the best you can. But if you are asking for anything more than simply the knowledge of that a policy has been issued for them, if you're wanting the information about additional insured or subrogation, you need to make sure that you get copies of those endorsements and that you keep those to prove what you've got. If you have any questions about this stuff, please give us a call. We'd be more than happy to answer anything we can. You can call us at 423-292-4142. Find us on the web at veritasrm.com or shoot us an email at help@veritasrm.com. Thanks, and God bless.